Okay, grade 7. We are doing our last lesson in chapter 11. It's called Select an Appropriate Display. That means you need to choose the correct graph for the correct information. Okay? Now, let us read this. It says here, there are many different types of graphs. You need to know all of them because you have learnt them either in grade 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or 6. And some you learnt in grade 7. So you need to know the different types of graphs that we use to display all kinds of statistical data. Okay? Now, list the graphs. See, it says list all the graphs. So I'll start box plot, circle graph, line plot, bar graph, what else? Line graph, pictograph, okay? So I wrote some of them on my notes over here. And then we will go through all of them. All right. Which one I didn't write over here? Well, I'll write them nicely on my paper. Now let's continue. The graph below displays the total number of kilograms of plastic recycled each week during a 10-week period. So these two information over here, these two graphs represent the same information about kilograms of plastic that has been recycled. And that is why I tell you every graph should have a title. Now, you need to name the type of graph. Because I see intervals, see I see 10 to 19, 20 to 29, when the numbers are written like this, and there is no space between your bars, this is called a histogram. Now, this is clear. This is a circle graph. Why is this a circle graph? Because it is in a circle and it uses percents. Another name for circle graph is pie chart. Okay? All right. Which display is more easy to show the number of weeks in the class? This one is easier because I can just go here and see number of weeks. It is written in numbers. I can see my picture, so I can say histogram. Because 30 and 39 I can see easily. It's right here. Number of weeks is 3. Quickly. Here I have to think who is 30 to 39. This is percent. They want the number of weeks. I don't know it. I need to calculate it. So it is easier to see the number of weeks quickly on the histogram as compared to the circle graph. In the circle graph, you have to calculate to find your answer. Now, which display more easily shows the percent? I told you reading is important. The minute I see percent, I'm just going to write circle graph or pie chart. Another name for circle graph is pie chart. Just like that. So over here, I've written the objectives that we need to know for this lesson. So which displays are used to compare data involving categories? That is one thing you need to know. And which displays are used to show change over time? Okay? So there is categories and there is change over time. All right. Now let's look at the type of graphs. I said first one is a bar graph. You have blue. We are writing the number of colored pencils in grade 7 and representing them in a bar. Remember, when you're drawing your graph, you need 3 titles. The title for the graph, the title for the x-axis. So here our title will be colors. But each bar has its own title. And then over here you need a title. These are the number of pencils, the number of colored pencils we found. So in the blue were 5, the red were 10, like that. Okay? Then we have a histogram. I told you need to use intervals. So you group in groups of numbers. And your intervals have to be the same. 5 to 9 is 4. 10 to 14 is 4. 15 to 19 is 4. 20 to 24 is 4. Every interval is the same. So we are comparing the working activity that was being done, and the unit of measurement was number of days. Okay? So maybe how many people walked 20 days? 5 to 9, like that. Okay? Then you have your box plot. You know your box plot should have these numbers: minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and maximum. We did that. Then you have your circle graph. Remember, all of your percents, when you add them, should equal to 100. Or when you add all your fractions, they should equal to 1. They cannot be more than 100. If it's more than 100, it is wrong. Okay? You should know, if you divide your circle into 4 equal parts, it is a quarter. And a quarter is the same as 25%. Okay? If you see here, you have 30, 20, 10, 30, 10. If you add this, you should get 100. Okay? So you can use fractions or you can use percents. But mostly we use percents. It should have a title. Every part should be labeled. What does that part represent? Okay? Then we have a line graph. You have your units for the x-axis, your title for the y-axis and the units, and the title of the graph. And the graph is made by a line, just like that. Another one, we did a pictograph. Okay? This pictograph shows the number of fruits were collected. So we're collecting apples and oranges, and the amount we collected. So here we collected 8 apples, and here we collected maybe more than 10 apples, or 10 oranges, sorry. See, so you'll be given a picture, okay? Then the dot plot or a line plot, this is how it's drawn. We saw how to do that. Now, let us look. You must read this. The bar graph shows the number of items in a specific category. So if you're grouping categories, colors, cars, books, girls, boys, you use bar graph. Box plot, you have to show variation for a set of data, and also used for very large data sets, very big data sets. So when you want to show the mean, the median, the maximum, the interquartile range, use the box plot. Circle graph, when you want to compare parts of a data to the whole. So remember, part to whole gives us a fraction. It also gives us a percent. Double bar graph compares 2 sets of categorical data. The number of boys in in Al Ain, and the number of boys in Abu Dhabi, and the number of boys in Fujairah. I would use a double bar graph. Then a histogram needs to show frequency of data. How many times a number is repeating. So from, let's say I said those students who got 80 to 100, how many are they in grade 7? Those who got 20 to 40, how many are they? So this I will show with histogram. Then you have a line graph if you want to show change over a time of period. So at 8 o'clock, what was the temperature? I mark it. Then did the temperature rise from 8 to 9? Did it go down? What was happening during the whole day? So this is changing. Or what was my weight in January? Then my weight in February. Then my weight in December. So this shows how my weight has changed through the year. Okay? Then you have a line plot. Show the frequency of data with a number line. Just like that. Line plot. How many 5s do we have? How many 10s do we have? How many 15s do we have? Like that. Okay? So when deciding what type of display to use, ask these questions. What type of information is given? So you need to come back here and look. What type of information? You decide. What do you want the display to show? And how will the display be analyzed? Okay? Now look over here. Let's look at example 1. Select an appropriate display to show the number of boys, different age ranges. Because I see age ranges, I know this is an interval. And because it's an interval, I will use a histogram. That is how I knew I should put this data in a histogram. Now, select an appropriate display for percent. The keyword there is percent. Circle graph. That's what you draw. Right circle graph is your answer. Okay? And then we look at this one. Select an appropriate type of display to compare the percent. The minute I see percent, I know I'm going to do circle graph. Okay, how will I do this? I will add all the numbers. And then the total I will put at the bottom. And then each one I will do 3,534 over the total times 100. It will give me the percent. Then I will do 1,665 over the total times 100. It will give me the percent for Nebraska. And that is how they drew this graph. Do you see that? Everybody, this over the total. So first add all your numbers and put the total number over here. Then you do for each one. You do for Iowa, you get the percent. You do for Nebraska, you get the percent, like that. So that is how they made this circle graph. Okay? And then you are asked to compare the parts. A circle graph would be appropriate display, yes. Because you're comparing the parts, because you saw the word percent. Okay? The table lists the ticket prices for a school musical during recent years. Select an appropriate display to predict the price of a ticket in 2013. Justify your reason. Then construct the display. What can you conclude? So what are you going to do? I think the best one will be bar graph. Yes, this will be bar graph. So you draw your bar graph like that. You put here 2009. Let me draw it over here. So you draw this. Use a ruler. Put Y, put X. And then my numbers are going by what? 5/5. So I will say this is 5. So it's going by 50 cents. See, it says by 50 cents. So I can do 5 and then no. I go by 50 cents. So 50 fields, then a dirham, then a dirham 50, then 2 dirhams, then 2 dirham 50, like that, 3 dirham, 3 dirham 50, 4 dirham. My 9 needs to go up more. 4 dirham 50, what is it? 5 dirham, 5 dirham 50, 6 dirham, 6 dirham 50, 7 dirham. Then I draw my graph. So 2009 is 5 dirham. 5 dirham is somewhere here. I can draw like that. And I label 2009. I skip. And then I do 550 for 2010. Like that. 2010. And then 2011 is 650. So I need to go there. All the way to 650. Somewhere there. And write 2011 like that. And then 2012 all the way to 7. 2012. And there I have drawn my bar graph. So you need to tell me why we are drawing a bar graph. So I want you to tell me that by justifying your reasoning. Then, khalas, you finish, you do your aleph, and then tomorrow we'll talk about this, okay? All right, bye.